Beloved, have you ever found yourself scrolling through social media, looking at someone else's seemingly perfect life, and feeling like you're falling behind? Maybe it's a friend who just landed their dream job, a colleague who seems to have it all together, or a stranger whose highlight reel makes your everyday life feel small. It's so easy to get caught in the trap of comparison, measuring our worth against someone else's success. But here's the truth: comparison is a thief. It robs us of joy, peace, and the ability to fully embrace our own journey. Comparison is sneaky. It doesn't always announce itself loudly. Sometimes it whispers. It shows up in small, seemingly harmless thoughts. Why am I not as successful as they are? Why does their life look so effortless while mine feels so hard? It convinces us that our worth is determined by how we measure up to others. But the problem is, when we live in comparison, we are playing a game we can never win. There will always be someone who appears to be doing better, achieving more, or moving faster. And if we're not careful, we'll spend our entire lives chasing a standard that was never meant for us. The danger of comparison is that it shifts our focus outward instead of inward. It makes us look at other people's lives instead of investing in our own. We start living reactively, trying to keep up, rather than defining what success and fulfillment truly mean for us. Instead of asking, what do I want? What brings me joy? What is my purpose? We start asking, how do I measure up? And when our sense of worth is built on external validation, we become disconnected from our own dreams, passions, and authenticity. One of the greatest lies of comparison is that it makes us believe we are not enough. It tells us that we need to be more successful, more attractive, more accomplished to be worthy. But the truth is, you are already enough. You don't need to prove your worth by competing with others. Your value is not determined by your achievements, your status, or how many people approve of you. You are enough simply because you are here, because you are growing, because you are uniquely you. The reality is, we never know the full story behind someone else's success. We see the victories, but we don't see the struggles, the late nights, the failures, or the insecurities they battle. We assume that their journey was smooth while ours is messy. But if we could see behind the curtain, we'd realize that every single person has their own battles, doubts, and hardships. No one is exempt from struggle. So why compare when we are all just trying to figure it out? Breaking free from the comparison trap requires a shift in perspective. Instead of looking at others as competition, what if we saw them as inspiration? Instead of letting someone else's success make us feel small, what if we let it remind us of what's possible? The only person you need to compete with is the version of yourself from yesterday. Your goal is not to be better than someone else, it's to be better than the person you were last week, last month, last year. Progress, not perfection, is what truly matters. So how do we let go of comparison? We start by cultivating gratitude. When we focus on what we have instead of what we lack, we begin to see how truly blessed we are. We practice self-compassion, reminding ourselves that we are on our own timeline, and that's okay. We celebrate others without diminishing ourselves, understanding that their success does not take away from our own. And most importantly, we commit to our personal growth, knowing that the best way to create a meaningful life is to focus on becoming the best version of ourselves. Beloved, how often do we feel like we're running behind, like we're stuck in a race we never signed up for, watching others pass us by? We see people hitting milestones, getting married, buying homes, building careers, and we wonder, why am I not there yet? What's wrong with me? But here's what I want you to hear today. Your journey is yours alone. Your timeline is not meant to look like anyone else's. The pressure to match someone else's pace is an illusion, a distraction that keeps us from embracing the path we were meant to walk. We live in a world that glorifies speed. Everything is about getting there faster. Fast success, fast relationships, fast money. If we're not careful, we start believing that if we haven't achieved certain things by a certain age, we've failed. But life isn't a straight highway. It's a winding road with detours, pauses, and unexpected turns. Some people find their purpose at 20, while others discover it at 50. Some people marry young, others much later, and some choose a different path entirely. There is no single right way to live a meaningful life. Comparison tricks us into thinking that we are behind, but behind what? Who created this imaginary timeline that we feel pressured to follow? The truth is, no one is ahead of you and no one is behind you. You are exactly where you need to be for your journey. Every delay, every detour, every moment that feels like a setback is part of your growth. What may look like a pause is actually preparation. What seems like a failure is often a redirection towards something better. Think about nature. A flower does not rush to bloom because another flower has blossomed first. It opens when it is ready in its own season, and yet we expect ourselves to be different. We believe we should have everything figured out by a certain time, as if our lives were meant to follow some predetermined schedule. But what if we trusted the timing of our lives the way nature trusts the seasons? What if we stopped rushing and started embracing where we are? When we force things before their time, we rob ourselves of the beauty of the process. The waiting, the learning, the moments of struggle, they are not wasted, they are shaping you. Sometimes the greatest blessings come not in reaching a goal quickly, but in the journey of getting there. The lessons you learn in the waiting prepare you for what's ahead. The patience you develop, the strength you build, the resilience you cultivate. These things matter just as much as the destination itself. The danger of focusing too much on a timeline is that we miss the life happening right now. We become so obsessed with where we should be that we fail to appreciate where we are. But life is not just about reaching a destination. It's about who we become along the way. What good is success if we were so busy chasing it that we forgot to enjoy the process? What good is achievement if we never stop to celebrate how far we've come? Beloved, give yourself permission to move at your own pace. Trust that your timing is not broken. What is meant for you will not miss you, and what is not meant for you will not stay, no matter how fast you try to reach it. Your journey is unfolding exactly as it should. Let go of the pressure to keep up, and instead commit to being fully present in your own life. So today, I challenge you to stop looking at someone else's timeline as a measure of your own success. Stop worrying about whether you are behind or ahead and start focusing on being true to yourself. The only race you need to run is your own. Walk boldly, trust deeply, and remember, you are not late, you are right on time. Beloved, how often do we extend kindness and grace to others, but refuse to offer the same to ourselves? We comfort a friend when they make a mistake, reassuring them that they are human, yet when we stumble, we speak to ourselves with harshness and criticism. We carry the weight of our flaws, replay our failures, and convince ourselves that we are not enough. But today, I want to remind you, you deserve the same love, grace, and forgiveness that you so freely give to others. Self-compassion is not weakness. It is the foundation of true strength. Self-judgment is a voice that whispers in our minds, telling us that we should be better, do more, and never fail. It convinces us that mistakes define us, that our worth is tied to our performance, and that we are somehow falling short. But the truth is, no one walks through life without stumbling. No one gets it right all the time. Perfection is an illusion, yet we hold ourselves to impossible standards. Why do we believe that we must be flawless to be worthy? Why do we allow self-judgment to keep us in a cycle of shame and doubt? There is a difference between growth and self-punishment. Growth says, I made a mistake, but I can learn from it. Self-judgment says, I made a mistake, so I am a failure. Growth acknowledges that we are always evolving, that every setback is a stepping stone toward wisdom. But self-judgment traps us in a mindset of unworthiness, making us believe that we are only as good as our worst moment. Beloved, you are not your mistakes. You are not your failures. You are a work in progress, and that is something to celebrate, not condemn. Imagine speaking to yourself the way you would speak to a dear friend. Would you tell them they are unworthy because they made a mistake? Would you shame them for struggling? Of course not. You would remind them of their resilience, their goodness, and their ability to grow. So why do we struggle to give ourselves that same kindness? If we cannot learn to love and encourage ourselves, how can we fully embrace the love and encouragement of others? True healing begins when we silence the voice of self-judgment and replace it with self-compassion. Self-compassion does not mean excusing our mistakes or avoiding accountability. It means recognizing that we are human, that we are doing the best we can with what we know. It means understanding that failure is not the opposite of success, it is part of the process. When we treat ourselves with compassion, we create space for growth instead of guilt, for learning instead of shame. We stop defining ourselves by our weakest moments and start seeing ourselves through the lens of grace. So often, we believe that self-criticism will push us to be better, that if we are hard on ourselves, we will somehow improve. But research and experience show that the opposite is true. Self-criticism leads to fear, avoidance, and burnout. It makes us afraid to take risks, afraid to step out of our comfort zones, afraid to try, because we are terrified of failing. But self-compassion gives us the courage to keep going. It reminds us that our worth is not on the line every time we make a mistake. It allows us to rise again and again, knowing that we are worthy no matter how many times we fall. Beloved, if you have been carrying the weight of self-judgment, it is time to set it down. Speak to yourself with love. Extend yourself the grace you give to others. Allow yourself to be human, to be imperfect, to be in progress. You are not meant to be flawless. You are meant to grow. And growth requires patience, kindness, and a heart that is willing to forgive itself. So today, choose self-compassion. When self-doubt whispers, answer with grace. When you stumble, remind yourself that falling is part of learning. And when you look in the mirror, see yourself as you truly are, not defined by your mistakes, but shaped by your resilience. You are worthy, you are growing, and you deserve the same love that you give so freely to others. Beloved, have you ever felt drained, not just physically, but emotionally and mentally, like no matter how much you rest, you still feel exhausted? That's because energy is more than just the strength in our bodies. It is the attention, focus, and emotional weight we carry every single day. The truth is, where you invest your energy determines the quality of your life. If you spend all your energy on things that do not serve you, on stress, on negativity, on worrying about things beyond your control, then no amount of sleep will restore you. But if you learn to invest your energy wisely, you will find yourself living with greater purpose, peace, and fulfillment. We often think of energy as something that just gets depleted, something we lose as we go through the day. But energy is not just something you run out of, it's something you spend. And just like money, where you spend it matters. Every thought, every emotion, every relationship, every task, these things either return something valuable to us or they drain us with no benefit in return. The question we must ask ourselves is this: am I investing my energy in places that give me life, or am I wasting it on things that leave me empty? Many of us pour our energy into things that don't truly serve us. We replay past mistakes in our minds, exhausting ourselves over things we cannot change. We spend hours comparing ourselves to others, depleting our joy and confidence. We chase after validation, trying to prove our worth to people who were never meant to define it. And at the end of the day, we wonder why we feel so worn out. The truth is, what you focus on grows. If you spend your energy on fear, you will grow more fearful. If you spend your energy on resentment, you will grow more bitter. But if you spend your energy on growth, healing, and love, your life will begin to flourish. Think of your energy like a garden. Every day you have a limited number of seeds to plant. Will you plant them in fertile soil, nurturing your passions, your growth, your well-being, or will you scatter them in dry, barren land, giving your time and attention to things that do not nourish you? The choice is always yours. Some people spend their entire lives watering dead soil, hoping something will grow. But beloved, you do not have to live that way. You have the power to choose where your energy goes. One of the most powerful shifts you can make is learning to protect your energy. That means setting boundaries, knowing when to walk away from toxic conversations, when to say no to obligations that drain you, and when to distance yourself from people who only take without giving. Protecting your energy is not selfish, it is necessary. You cannot pour from an empty cup. You cannot give your best to the world if you are constantly running on empty. When you learn to guard your energy, you are not just protecting yourself, you are creating space for the things that truly matter. Energy investment also means being intentional about what brings you joy, what fills your soul, what makes you feel alive. Maybe it's creating, learning, spending time in nature, or connecting with loved ones. These things are not just luxuries, they are necessary fuel for your spirit. When you invest in what nourishes you, you are not wasting time. You are replenishing the very energy that allows you to live fully. If you neglect what brings you joy, life begins to feel like a cycle of exhaustion. But when you make space for what fills you, you will find that you have more energy to give, not just to yourself, but to the world around you. Beloved, your energy is precious. Do not spend it on things that steal your peace, on people who do not value you, on thoughts that do not serve you. Invest it in your growth. Invest it in your healing. Invest it in becoming the person you were created to be. When you start directing your energy with intention, you will notice a shift, not just in how you feel, but in what you attract, because energy flows where attention goes. And when you focus on what truly matters, your life begins to change. So today, I challenge you to take inventory of your energy. Where is it going? Is it building you up or tearing you down? Is it fueling your growth or depleting your strength? Be mindful, be intentional, and most of all, be kind to yourself. Because the life you desire does not come from running yourself into the ground. It comes from pouring your energy into what makes you come alive. Invest wisely and watch your life transform. Beloved, every single one of us carries a story, one filled with triumphs and trials, victories and valleys, love and loss. Yet so many of us spend our lives trying to rewrite or hide parts of our story, believing that only the polished, perfect chapters are worthy of being seen. But here's the truth. Your power lies not in erasing your past, but in owning it. Every experience, every scar, every lesson has shaped you into the person you are today. And when you embrace your story fully, courageously, and unapologetically, you step into a strength that no one can take away from you. Too often, we let shame keep us from owning our stories. We look at our past mistakes, our painful moments, the times we fell short, and we feel unworthy. We tell ourselves that if people knew everything we had been through, they would see us differently. But beloved, your past does not define you. Your growth does. Your struggles are not a mark of failure. They are proof that you have endured, that you have risen, that you have fought battles no one else could see. There is no shame in your journey, only wisdom and resilience that you have earned along the way. When we refuse to own our story, we give others the power to write it for us. We allow their opinions, their judgments, and their assumptions to dictate who we are. But the truth is, no one else gets to define you. No one else gets to decide what your story means. Only you can do that. When you stand tall in your truth, without apology, without fear, you take back the pen. You decide that your past is not something to run from, but something to honor because it has made you who you are. Owning your story is not about pretending that everything has been easy. It is about acknowledging the hard parts, the messy parts, and choosing to grow from them instead of being held hostage by them. It is about looking at the places where you once felt broken and realizing that those very cracks are where your light shines through. Your story and all its imperfections is what makes you beautifully human. And when you own it, you give others permission to own theirs too. Think of the people who inspire you most. Are they the ones who have lived flawless lives, or are they the ones who have struggled and overcome? Are they the ones who pretend they have it all together, or the ones who have the courage to say, this is where I've been, and this is how I've grown? Strength is not found in perfection, it is found in authenticity. And when you choose to stand in your truth, you become a light for others who are still searching for their own. Beloved, there will always be voices that tell you to shrink, to hide, to be less than who you truly are. But those voices do not hold the pen to your life. You do. And the moment you stop running from your past and start embracing your whole story, you reclaim the power that has always been yours. Your experiences do not make you weak, they make you wise. Your scars do not make you unworthy, they make you strong. You are not broken, you are becoming. So today I ask you, will you own your story? Will you stand in your truth even when it's uncomfortable? Will you release the shame, the fear, the doubt, and step fully into who you were created to be? The world does not need another person pretending to be perfect. The world needs you fully, boldly, and without apology. Beloved, your story is sacred. It is yours to tell, yours to embrace, and yours to use for good. Do not be afraid of where you've been. Do not let the past hold you back from the future that is waiting for you. Stand tall, own your story, and walk forward in the beautiful truth of who you are. Because the moment you own your story, you step into the freedom that has been yours all along.